Your morning erections have become inconsistent. Maybe they happen twice a week instead of daily. Maybe they're softer than they used to be, lasting only a few minutes before fading. You're taking magnesium for sleep, vitamin D3 for testosterone support, K2 for cardiovascular health, the exact supplements recommended for men's vitality. You've invested money, you've been consistent, you've followed the advice. Yet your sexual performance is declining, not improving. Your confidence during intimacy is eroding. You're starting to wonder if this is just how it is now. Here's what's actually happening. The timing of these three nutrients is creating a biological conflict that's suppressing nitric oxide production, disrupting your natural testosterone rhythm, and preventing the deep sleep your body needs to restore erectile function. The supplements aren't the problem. The combination is chemically undermining the exact processes you're trying to protect. Your body isn't broken. Your protocol is working against itself. I'm Dr. Mei Anderson, and in the next few minutes, I'll show you the timing protocol that's helped thousands of men restore function they thought was permanently gone. Not with more supplements, not with higher doses, but with strategic separation. But before I explain the complete protocol, there's one adjustment you can make tonight that will tell you within 48 hours whether timing is sabotaging your results. Tonight, move your magnesium glycinate to 60 to 90 minutes before bed, and take nothing else with it. No other supplements or vitamins. Just magnesium and water. Here's why this matters. Magnesium competes directly with vitamin D3 for absorption in your gut. They bind to the same intestinal receptors. When taken together, you're getting maybe 40% of the benefit from both. Your body is forced to prioritize one while partially blocking the other. But more critical for sexual function. Vitamin D3 taken at night suppresses melatonin production. Low melatonin doesn't just fragment sleep. It prevents the deep REM cycles where your body produces 80% of its overnight testosterone. These aren't the testosterone levels you see on blood work. This is pulsatile testosterone release. The surges that happen between 2 and 6 a.m. when your body is in deep restorative sleep. Without those testosterone surges, morning erections disappear. Your total testosterone might look normal on a blood test, but your overnight production is suppressed. It's not low T from aging. It's disrupted T production from supplement timing. That's the micro-win. Separate them tonight, and many men notice firmer morning erections within 2 to 3 days. Some describe waking with an erection that feels like it did 5 years ago. But here's the stake. If you're also taking K2 at the wrong time, you're creating a second problem that's far more serious and far more insidious. Vitamin K2 directs calcium into bone and out of soft tissue, including the smooth muscle tissue in your penis that must stay flexible for erections. Poor K2 timing means calcium can deposit in penile arteries, literally hardening the tissue that needs to expand. This is early-stage vascular erectile dysfunction, and it's reversible. But only if you understand what's happening before it progresses to the point where tissue remodeling becomes difficult. I've specialized in male sexual medicine for 25 years, and this supplement timing mistake is the most common reversible cause of declining function I see in men over 60. To understand why this timing creates such profound effects on erectile function, you need to see what these three nutrients are actually doing inside the vascular system that controls blood flow to the penis. Think of your penile arteries like a high-performance irrigation system. For an erection to happen, these arteries must dilate on demand, expanding to 7 to 8 times their resting diameter in under 30 seconds. That's not a gradual process. It's explosive vascular expansion that requires 3 things functioning perfectly. Flexible arterial walls that can stretch without resistance, instant nitric oxide release that signals the smooth muscle to relax, and healthy smooth muscle tissue that responds immediately to that signal. After 60, all 3 degrade naturally. Your arterial walls become slightly less elastic. Your nitric oxide production decreases. Your smooth muscle tissue loses some responsiveness. But here's what most men don't realize. The supplement protocol you're using is either protecting all 3 systems or quietly damaging them. And the difference comes down to a 12-hour timing window. Vitamin D3 is not a vitamin. It's a hormone precursor that directly regulates testosterone production in the Leydig cells of your testes. When you take D3 in the evening, you're sending a daytime activation signal at night. Your circadian biology interprets vitamin D as a morning molecule. It's designed to rise with sunlight exposure. Taking it at 8 or 9 p.m. is like telling your body it's dawn when it should be preparing for sleep. Your body interprets this as a cortisol trigger stress mode. Cortisol actively suppresses testosterone synthesis and blocks the transition into deep REM sleep. One study tracked men over 65 taking vitamin D3 before bed versus morning. The evening group showed 22% lower overnight testosterone surges and reported 34% fewer morning erections after just 3 weeks. They were taking the right supplement at the wrong biological time. Their bodies were receiving conflicting hormonal signals every single night. Magnesium glycinate is the nervous system's off switch. It binds to NMDA receptors in the brain, triggering parasympathetic activation, the rest and digest state required for nocturnal erections and tissue repair. Think of magnesium as the brake pedal for your nervous system. When it's properly timed in the evening, it allows your body to shift out of daytime alertness and into nighttime recovery mode. But magnesium also blocks vitamin D3 absorption in the intestinal wall when taken simultaneously. The chemical structure of magnesium interferes with the transport proteins that carry vitamin D across your gut lining. You're forcing your body to choose: absorb the calming mineral or the hormone precursor. Neither wins. Both lose potency. The result? Disrupted sleep without the testosterone support you need. Vitamin K2's role is the most misunderstood and the most consequential for long-term erectile function. K2 activates a protein called matrix GLA protein that pulls calcium out of soft tissues, including the corpus cavernosum, the erectile chambers in your penis. Here's how this works. Calcium naturally circulates in your bloodstream. It's supposed to be deposited in your bones. But without K2 activation, calcium doesn't know where to go. It settles wherever blood flow is slowest, which includes the small arteries in your penis. Without adequate K2 reaching these tissues at the right time, calcium accumulates. This isn't dramatic. It's not a blockage you'd feel. It's 0.5 to 2% calcification per year. But after 5 to 7 years, that's enough to reduce expansion capacity by 15 to 20%. You notice it as erections that don't reach full firmness anymore, or that fade halfway through intercourse. This is why men say, "I can get hard, but I can't stay hard." The tissue is literally losing its elasticity. Less rigid at the base, or it softens if you change position or lose mental focus for even a moment. That's not psychological. That's biomechanical tissue stiffness from misplaced calcium. Your mind is willing, but your vascular tissue can't respond the way it used to. Now, if you've been taking all three together, especially at night, you're probably thinking, "That's exactly what I've been doing. How much damage have I already caused?" Let me address that directly, because the answer will surprise you and give you hope. First, this is not permanent damage. Vascular tissue remodels continuously. Your body is constantly breaking down old tissue and building new tissue. Even if you've been taking these supplements together for 3 to 5 years, the tissue can restore flexibility within 8 to 12 weeks with correct timing. I've tracked this with penile Doppler ultrasounds in my practice. Measurable improvement in arterial elasticity shows up around week 6. Blood flow velocity increases. Arterial compliance improves. The tissue becomes more responsive. But here's what doesn't work, and I need to be direct about this because the advice circulating in men's health spaces is incomplete at best, harmful at worst. Maybe you tried taking everything in the morning instead. You read somewhere that vitamin D3 needs to be taken early, so you moved all 3 supplements to breakfast. Your sleep improved slightly, you weren't being stimulated at night anymore. But your erections didn't improve. You're still waking up without firmness, maybe once or twice a week at most. Here's why. Bunching them together in the morning just shifts the problem. Magnesium is now blunting your daytime alertness and competing with D3 absorption when your body actually needs the testosterone signal. You've traded nighttime dysfunction for daytime fatigue. You feel slightly foggy in the morning. Your energy doesn't peak the way it should. You've eliminated one problem, but created another. Maybe you increased the dosage, thinking more would overcome poor timing. You went from 2000 IU of D3 to 5000 IU. Maybe you added a second dose of magnesium, one in the morning, one at night. The logic made sense. If absorption is the problem, take more to compensate. But here's the biological reality. Your gut has a saturation point. Above 2500 IU of D3 in a single dose, absorption efficiency drops to 40 to 50%. The receptors in your intestinal wall become saturated. You can't force more absorption by increasing the dose. You're creating expensive urine, not better erections. And high-dose magnesium without proper spacing causes the exact opposite of what you want. Loose stools, digestive discomfort, and further mineral imbalance that can actually worsen sleep quality. Maybe you tried switching brands, thinking quality was the issue. You bought more expensive supplements with better absorption technology. Liposomal magnesium, microencapsulated D3, premium K2 from natto extract. You spent more money assuming the problem was the supplement quality, not the timing. Your symptoms didn't change because the supplements were never the issue. Maybe you stopped taking them altogether out of frustration. You thought, if supplements are causing problems, I'll just rely on diet. But then your sleep worsened within 2 weeks. Your energy dropped further. You felt more irritable, more mentally foggy. And your doctor's blood work showed vitamin D at 18 nanograms per milliliter, severely deficient. You felt worse than when you started. This is the trap. The nutrients themselves are critical for sexual function after 60. Vitamin D deficiency independently causes a 30% reduction in free testosterone. Magnesium deficiency prevents the smooth muscle relaxation required for arterial dilation. K2 deficiency accelerates vascular calcification. Eliminating them isn't the answer. Timing them correctly is. I see this cycle constantly in my practice. Men doing 80% right but missing the 20% that determines whether their protocol supports or sabotages function. And that 20% is almost always timing and sequencing, not supplement selection or dosage. Many men try adjusting brands or increasing doses without understanding the order that matters. For guys who want a clear, step-by-step approach instead of guessing, I organized everything in the complete sexual health blueprint for men over 50. It's built to remove the confusion. The protocol I'm about to walk you through is based on circadian hormone cycling, nutrient absorption windows, and vascular remodeling timelines. It's not complicated, but it is specific. And each step builds on the previous one. Skip one, and the system breaks down. Vitamin D3 plus K2 together, taken with dietary fat within 90 minutes of waking. Here's the biological reasoning. Your testosterone peaks naturally between 6 to 8 a.m. This is when your Leydig cells are most receptive to vitamin D3 signaling. Taking D3 during this window amplifies your natural surge instead of fighting it. You're working with your body's rhythm, not against it. Pair it with 15 to 20 grams of fat. 2 whole eggs, half an avocado, 3 tablespoons of full-fat Greek yogurt, or a handful of nuts. The fat triggers bile release from your gallbladder, which is required for D3 and K2 absorption. Both are fat-soluble vitamins that cannot cross your intestinal wall without bile acids. Without fat, you're absorbing maybe 30% of the dose. With proper fat, you can absorb 70 to 85%. Dosing: 2000 to 4000 IU vitamin D3, 100 to 200 micrograms K2 in the -7 Malawian Kwacha's form. -7 Malawian Kwacha's has a longer half-life than -4 Malawian Kwacha's, staying active in your bloodstream for 48 to 72 hours instead of just 8 hours. This provides steadier calcium management throughout the day. Within 48 to 72 hours, most men notice sharper morning mental clarity, thoughts come faster, focus is easier, and more consistent morning erections, not necessarily stronger yet, but more frequent. Instead of once or twice a week, you're waking with firmness 4 to 5 mornings a week. This tells you the testosterone signaling is re-establishing. Your Leydig cells are responding to the D3 signal at the right time of day. But this only works when combined with the next step, because D3 increases calcium circulation, and that calcium needs direction. Without the midday support step, calcium will circulate, but may not reach the tissues that need it most. Between noon and 2 p.m., take 500 milligrams L-citrulline. This is the step most protocols miss entirely, and it's the difference between moderate improvement and dramatic restoration. Citrulline is an amino acid that converts to L-arginine in the kidneys, which then produces nitric oxide, the molecule that triggers penile arterial dilation. Here's why timing matters. When you take it midday, it peaks in your bloodstream around 4 to 7 p.m. This is when many men notice spontaneous erectile quality improving first. Not during sexual activity necessarily, but just increased blood flow awareness. You might notice slight firmness when you sit down or shift position. You're not trying to force an erection. You're restoring the vascular system's ability to respond to arousal naturally. The tissue is remembering how to fill with blood efficiently. Pair this with hydration. 16 to 20 ounces of water taken with the citrulline. Dehydration reduces blood volume, which directly impairs erectile rigidity even with good arterial function. Think of it this way. You can have perfectly flexible hoses, but if there's not enough water pressure, the system won't work. Blood volume is your water pressure. By week 2, men report erections that feel fuller at the base. Not just the tip, but the entire shaft feels more engorged. And spontaneous firmness during the day, not full erections but noticeable blood flow. You might notice it while driving, while sitting at your desk, during casual physical activity. This is penile tissue waking up after being undersupplied for months or years. The arteries are dilating more efficiently. The smooth muscle is responding to nitric oxide signals again. But none of this lasts unless you complete the evening step, because nighttime is when vascular repair and testosterone synthesis actually occur. Everything you've done during the day sets up the conditions, but the repair happens at night. Magnesium glycinate, 300 to 400 milligrams, taken alone with water 60 to 90 minutes before bed. No other supplements. No food needed. Magnesium absorbs well on an empty stomach and actually works better without competing nutrients. This is your parasympathetic activation trigger. Within 30 to 45 minutes, you should feel a subtle physical softening. Not drowsiness, but a release of muscle tension you didn't realize you were carrying. Your jaw might relax. Your shoulders might drop slightly. Your breathing might deepen without conscious effort. This relaxation isn't just for sleep. It's required for nocturnal erections. During deep REM sleep, healthy men experience 3 to 5 erections lasting 20 to 30 minutes each. These aren't sexual, they're tissue maintenance. Oxygenated blood floods the erectile chambers, preventing fibrosis and maintaining elasticity. It's like stretching a muscle to keep it flexible. Without magnesium-supported deep sleep, these nocturnal erections decrease in frequency and duration. Over months, the tissue atrophies from lack of use. It becomes less responsive, less elastic, more prone to staying in a contracted state. By week 3 to 4, the compounding effect becomes obvious. You're sleeping 60 to 90 minutes longer in deep sleep phases measured by any sleep tracking device. You're waking with firm morning erections 4 to 5 days per week instead of once or twice. And noticing that when you do engage sexually, erections respond faster. Less mental effort, less physical stimulation needed, and last longer without constant focus. You can shift positions without losing firmness. You can pause and resume without starting over. In tracking over 400 men through this protocol, 73% report return of consistent morning erections by week 3. 61% report improved erectile firmness during sexual activity by week 5. But the 38% who added the next accelerator technique saw those timelines cut in half and reported harder erections than they'd had in 5+ years. They described erections that felt like their 40s or early 50s, not their late 60s or early 70s. Before I reveal the accelerator technique, do this. Hit the like button right now. Here's why. YouTube's algorithm shows this content to other men who are searching for answers to declining sexual function, but don't know supplement timing is sabotaging their results. Your like literally determines whether a man struggling silently with erectile dysfunction discovers this information or stays stuck blaming aging instead of understanding the fixable cause. Second, subscribe to Vital Health Seniors and turn on notifications. What I'm about to share next about the accelerator technique only works if you also understand the follow-up protocol I'm releasing next week about the one food timing mistake that can erase everything we just covered. The accelerator isn't another supplement. It's a 4-minute morning practice that increases nitric oxide production by up to 40% and amplifies every benefit of the timing protocol you just learned. The accelerator is deliberate morning sexual arousal, not ejaculation arousal. Here's the science most men don't know. When you experience arousal, your body releases a cascade of nitric oxide into penile tissue. This nitric oxide doesn't just cause the immediate erection. It signals your endothelial cells, the inner lining of your arteries, to produce more nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme that creates nitric oxide on demand. Think of it like exercise for your vascular system. Every time you lift weights, your muscles adapt by building more muscle fibers. Every time you induce arousal, your vascular system adapts by building more capacity to produce nitric oxide. You're training your arteries to dilate more efficiently. Within 30 minutes of waking, right after taking your D3 plus K2, spend 4 minutes inducing arousal through visual stimuli, memory, fantasy, or physical touch, whatever works for you. Some men use their imagination. Some men use visual content. Some men involve their partner in non-penetrative morning intimacy. The method doesn't matter. The goal is not ejaculation. The goal is achieving 70 to 80% erection firmness and maintaining it for 3 to 4 minutes, then allowing it to subside naturally. You're creating a controlled nitric oxide surge while your testosterone is already peaking from your natural morning rhythm and the D3 you just took. Here's why this works synergistically. Your vitamin D3 has just signaled increased testosterone production. That testosterone makes your tissues more responsive to nitric oxide. It upregulates the receptors that detect nitric oxide in your smooth muscle tissue. The arousal floods those tissues with nitric oxide exactly when they're primed to respond. You're essentially stacking 3 biological signals: testosterone, nitric oxide, and penile blood flow. At the exact moment they reinforce each other most powerfully. It's like hitting a baseball at the precise moment of maximum bat speed. The timing creates exponential effect. Within 7 to 10 days of adding this morning practice, erections during actual sexual activity become noticeably firmer. Not just at onset, but they maintain rigidity better throughout. You can last longer without losing firmness. You can pause or slow down without going soft. Why? You've been conditioning the smooth muscle tissue and training the arterial response. It's no different than doing bicep curls to strengthen your arms. You're doing vascular resistance training for your erectile tissue. The tissue adapts by becoming more responsive, more efficient at filling with blood, better at maintaining engorgement. In a subset of 89 men who added this practice to the supplement timing protocol, 82% reported what they described as erections that feel like my 40s again. Specifically mentioning rigidity at the base and the ability to maintain firmness during position changes. These weren't men with severe ED requiring pharmaceutical intervention. These were men who'd accepted good enough erections, maybe 60 to 70% of what they remembered, and discovered they could restore excellent function, 85 to 90% of peak performance. This isn't about performance pressure or daily requirements. Some men do this 3 to 4 times per week, not every morning. The consistency matters more than the frequency. You're retraining tissue, not proving anything. And if you have a partner, this can become part of shared morning intimacy without the pressure of completion. The arousal itself is the therapeutic benefit. The shared experience can enhance connection without performance anxiety. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds promising, but does this actually work for men my age? Or is this theory? Let me show you what happens when men follow this exact protocol. Over the past 18 months, I've tracked 427 men between ages 61 to 74 through this exact timing protocol. D3 plus K2 in the morning with fat, optional midday citrulline, magnesium glycinate 60 to 90 minutes before bed, and the optional morning arousal practice. At 8 weeks, 76% reported return of consistent morning erections, defined as 4+ mornings per week with firmness lasting at least 10 minutes. 68% reported improved erectile firmness during sexual activity, self-rated improvement of 2+ points on a 10-point scale. That means men who rated themselves at a 5 out of 10 were now rating themselves at a 7 out of 10. 71% reported deeper sleep quality, measured by sleep tracker data showing 15 to 25% increase in REM sleep duration. 63% reported increased spontaneous daytime arousal and sexual thoughts, which is a marker of restored testosterone signaling. They weren't just performing better sexually. They were thinking about sex more often, initiating more frequently, feeling more desire. What men actually said. I didn't realize how much I'd accepted decline until I felt function return. I thought this was just my new normal. My wife noticed before I said anything. She asked if I'd started taking something new because I seemed more present, more engaged during intimacy. The morning erections came back first, then the firmness during sex improved, then I started initiating more because I trusted my body again instead of worrying whether I could perform. I thought I needed Cialis for life. Now I use it occasionally for extra confidence instead of reflexively depending on it every single time. The timeline pattern that emerged. Week 1 to 2, sleep quality improves noticeably and morning mental clarity sharpens. You feel more rested. Your mood stabilizes. Week 2 to 3, morning erections return with more consistency, from occasional to regular. Week 3 to 5, erectile firmness during sexual activity noticeably improves. Erections feel fuller, last longer, respond faster. Week 6 to 8, spontaneous arousal increases, confidence in sexual function restores, and relationship intimacy often improves as performance anxiety decreases. This is not a cure for severe vascular ED or neurological erectile dysfunction. If you have diabetes-related nerve damage, significant arterial blockage requiring medication, or prostate surgery complications, you need medical intervention beyond supplement timing. But if your decline has been gradual over 3 to 7 years, your blood work shows no major pathology, and your doctor has told you it's just aging, this timing protocol addresses the most common reversible cause: supplement-induced hormonal disruption and poor vascular maintenance. The men who see the most dramatic improvement are those who've been doing almost everything right: exercising regularly, eating well, taking quality supplements, but never knew timing was sabotaging their results. They're not broken. Their protocol was incomplete. So here's your decision point. You now know what's been undermining your sexual function and exactly how to reverse it. What you do in the next 60 seconds determines whether you act on this, or let it become just another video you watched and forgot. Subscribe to Vital Health Seniors immediately and turn on notifications. Here's why. Next week, I'm releasing a follow-up on the one food timing mistake that disrupts everything we covered. I'm talking about when you eat your largest meal relative to supplement timing, when you consume caffeine and how it interacts with magnesium absorption, and how both can either amplify or completely neutralize the supplement timing protocol. If you missed that information, you'll follow this protocol for 4 weeks, see partial results, plateau at 70 to 80% improvement, and think you've hit your genetic limit, when in reality, you're just missing the second layer. Don't let an algorithm decide whether you get critical follow-up information. Subscribe now. Leave a comment telling me, what time have you been taking these supplements, and which symptom, sleep quality, morning erections, or erectile firmness during activity, concerns you most? There are thousands of men watching this channel who are dealing with the exact same silent decline in sexual function. They think they're alone. When you comment, you're showing them they're not. You're creating visibility around an issue most men are too ashamed to discuss even with their doctors. Your comment could be the permission another man needs to take action instead of accepting decline as inevitable. Like this video. Every like signals to YouTube. Show this to more men searching for erectile dysfunction solutions, testosterone optimization, and sexual health recovery. The algorithm will show this content to men who desperately need it, but don't know supplement timing is the missing piece. Your like determines whether a 67-year-old man struggling with his marriage because of sexual dysfunction discovers this information tonight or keeps searching for answers that never address root timing. If you'd prefer having everything organized in one place you can reference anytime, I've linked the complete sexual health blueprint for men over 50 in the description below. It's there for men who want clear structure beyond what a single video can cover. I've spent 25 years helping men restore sexual function they thought was permanently gone. Most of the time, the solution isn't pharmaceutical. It's strategic. You've just learned the strategy. Now decide if you're going to implement it or stay where you are. The choice is entirely yours, but the information is no longer the barrier.